We play and call it work.
MiniWarGamer Dave here from MiniWarGaming.com, here with Andrew.
Hi.
He's my Bat Rep guest today. Welcome to another Rules You Got Wrong. If you're not sure what this is, basically we go over the Bat Reps that we've done for the week, and we look at your comments, and we respond to them for the rules that we have gotten wrong, or the rules that we think we've gotten wrong. Not always wrong, majority of the time we are. And this will be the first in this video of the rules for my Bat Reps, and then we're going to go on to the other Wargamers within the same video of the 40k Bat Reps that have been posted this week. So, without further ado, let's go on to the Blood Angels versus Khorne. I'm going to start with this one. Blood Angels versus Khorne, episode 142, Banter Bat Rep. Mr. Cthulhu, great Bat Rep. Always fun to see you guys play. Dave, around the 54-minute mark, you charge Dante into the Soul Grinder, said with a voice, of course. As per the Walker rules on...
That's actually page 91.
Page 91. Unless the Soul Grinder was immobilized, it can fire Overwatch even when the charging unit is not within the arc of fire. Also, when you're attacking a Walker in close combat, you hit the front armor unless it's immobilized. Yes, that is correct. You hit the front armor unless it's immobilized. And the firing arc, yes, that is also correct. We looked it up.
Yep.
And that is absolutely correct. Unless it's immobilized, it doesn't need firing arc in order to fire Overwatch at anything that is charging it.
It has like a 180-degree fire arc, I think is what it is. So.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, as long as it's not turret mounted, I think it's like... Yeah, it should have been able to fire, basically.
Yeah, it should have been able to fire. Can't wait to see more Demonkin. The Armor of Contempt says, you don't need to roll to hit the pod in Assault since it counts as immobilized. That is also correct. This is something that we just, I guess, forgot. So obviously forgot. Mark of Notch. Demonkin versus Blood Angels. Probably my favorite matchup. Drewski versus Dave. Most entertaining players. What I will say is, Possessed do have Furious Charge in Demonkin because they are Demons of Khorne. It makes them a little better. Strength 6 on the charge with 4 attacks is nice. Yes, that is correct. Strength 6 on the charge. We must remember this about Possessed.
Oh yeah.
Makes them that much better. Mielin. Would the Bloodthirster not have benefited from the Feel No Pain he got through Blood Tithe? Now, there's no timestamp for when that happened in the Bat Rep, so I'm not sure where you're talking about, but the next comment does say this. Prindle Haven says, to those of you saying the Bloodthirster had Feel No Pain, it did not. It is not part of the Slaughter Cult. It has its own special detachment in the Blood Host called Lord of Slaughter, so it doesn't benefit from the Slaughter Cult bonus. I don't even remember what he was, whether he was in the Slaughter Cult or whether he was, if he was a Lord of Slaughter, then yes, that is absolutely correct. He wouldn't benefit from it because it's not Slaughter.
Can't comment, sadly.
Because if Feel No Pain was a result of a Blood Tithe, which was an additional Blood Tithe given to the Slaughter Cult, then that is absolutely correct. He would not have had Feel No Pain. Also, Mayelin also says, as Demonkin, if your own model kills another one of your models, I love this one.
Yeah.
So if your own model kills another one of your models, the scattering of a Soul Grinder, for example, do you get 2 Blood Tithes for that? One for killing something and one for losing something? That's a very rare situation. Yeah. And if it does happen, since there's no ruling on it, maybe we can make a ruling on it. See, I would say you do, because you kill something and you lose something.
It's very corny, and Khorne doesn't he backswing into people when he doesn't roll 2?
He's all about blood, but you know, I mean, it's just for fun. You probably don't. You probably only get 1 for losing something, is my guess. But maybe you roll a die and a 4 up, it counts as 2. That's what I think. That's a hilarious question though, and I just thought of the scenario in my mind. I loved it. Bloodshot VX. Possessed and Khorne Demonkin are both Mark of Khorne and Demon of Khorne.
It's true.
So they do have Furious Charge. Yes, it's true. We looked it up, and I've never noticed that before, to be absolutely honest. They have both, which means they have Rage, Counterattack, Furious Charge, and Hatred to Slanesh. So isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Cool. What's the difference between Mark of Khorne and Demon of Khorne? Is it
Mark of Khorne gives you Rage and Counterattack. Demon of Khorne gives you Furious Charge and Hatred to Slanesh.
Okay, so yeah, no, that's really nice.
So they have all 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, really awesome. Draco765 says, another thing about Possessed, they lose their mutation at the end of the full turn, not player turn. At 33 minutes, they were +1 attack, initiative, and AP3. And we looked at the rule in the Khorne Demonkin book under Possessed, and it does indeed say, under the Vessels of Chaos rule, that at the start of each fight subphase, which means my turn and my opponent's turn, they make a roll on that Vessels of Chaos chart.
And more importantly, that does not last until the rest of the game turn versus player turn.
And that's what it does say at the end, that the effects last until the end of the game turn. So at the end, at the second half of the turn, they have 2 special abilities, which makes them even better.
Yeah.
Holy Possessed! They used to be the tax. Now they're
that's really sweet.
Much better. Cinder Knight, flying monsters creatures can jink both when swooping and gliding.
No, that's true.
Yes. Joshua McCarthy, 17 minutes-ish. Bike gets 2 attacks against Vindicator because he charged. Actually,
he gets like 4 attacks.
He gets 4 because he has 1 base, and then he has close combat weapon and bolt pistol, and he's Mark McCorn, which means he has rage. So he gets 4 attacks on the charge. Matt Smith says, I know it's banter bat rep, but I thought you could only reach so far while in combat, meaning Dante would have been safe from the bloodletters. Reach so far while in combat. There's no timestamp, so I'm not sure where you're talking about, but if you're talking about consolidation after a battle, then that's like end of combat pile in move.
It's 3 inches pile in.
It's 3 inches, right?
Yeah. And it's like everything within 3 inches base contact of things and contact with the guy, I think, get to attack. There's some rule for close combat.
If both consolidate and can touch, then yes, they're still in combat. So I'm not sure where he was talking about. Maybe he was talking about the hit and run, and they charged them afterwards. They charged Dante after. I don't know.
Yeah.
Creep Cast Rogers says the Mauler Fiend was shaken and therefore could not move and assault. So shaken means you fire snapshots.
Yeah.
Stunned is you can't move and you fire snapshots. So if he was stunned, then he could not have assaulted. But he was shaken, therefore he could have. Moving on to Space Wolves / Tau versus Khorne, episode 143. DS69 says, Ehi, Dave, in Khorne Demonkin Codex, demons don't have demonic instability, they're simply fearless. You could have attached your Chaos Lord to one of your Bloodletters units, so you would be more resistant. But nice bat rep, a lot of proxies, but also, and more important, a lot of fun. Please take Damien back. Yeah, I suppose that's true. He could have attached himself, but the reason why I don't is because I want more blood type points.
Yeah.
DS69 also says, I was meaning during deployment, because Riptide could have managed to take him down first turn, and your Bloodthirster, if the opponent was smart, couldn't charge on turn 2.
Oh, yeah. So basically to hide him so the Riptide couldn't just one-shot your Lord, basically.
Right. But again, when I play with Khorne Demonkin, I like to split things up and make them as small as possible, so I get the most blood type points.
Which makes sense.
Agent 00 Abe. Hi, Dave and Damien. Damien's army is a bit weird. When you chose your warlord, that also determines the primary detachment, rulebook page 124. Now the codices say if your warlord has the blah 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 faction, these tactical objectives replace the capture and control tactical objectives, specifically Tau Codex, page 127. So since Damien chose his Tau commander as his warlord, his Tau was the primary detachment, and he must use the Tau tactical objectives. You don't get to choose, it's mandatory.
Yeah. And that's true too. 124 does say that while you choose his warlord also turns your primary detachment, which would, I guess, determine which cards you use, because that's the primary detachment card to use then.
Yeah, okay. So that is correct. Sand Tiger. Didn't end up mattering, but when the Thunderwolves charged the Blood Crushers, you should have done Hammer of Wrath for all Thunderwolves in base contact with enemy models. That is correct. They definitely should have gotten their Hammer of Wrath. Sand Tiger again says, also at 39 minutes and 30 seconds, Damien indicates that the black dice are twin-linked and the white dice are not when firing his Tau weapons at the Soul Grinder. But we never see him re-roll the black dice. Did that happen off camera? Chances are it didn't happen off camera. Chances are that was forgotten. Like immediately after we declared it. So
it happens.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that, err on the side of caution, and say that it was forgotten. Mark of Notch. Dave, there's good news in Games Workshop's most recent FAQs for Khorne Demonkin, which have come out since this was filmed. If a fly monster's creature is summoned / conjured / whatever you can choose, whether he comes in swooping or gliding.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is actually really cool because that affords him one less turn to get into combat.
Yeah, because you come in right away is just swooping, right? Where you're just on the ground, and gliding is in the air, right?
Right.
Yeah, so.
No, other way around. Swooping is flying, gliding is
Got it.
on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's amazing. If he comes in gliding, then
He could charge basically next turn, right?
the next turn he can charge. Whereas if he's swooping, the next turn he comes down,
And then charges.
and then the turn after that
Yeah,
he charges.
yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, a Woody 22er. You can only have one relic per character for Space Wolves. That is not correct.
Yeah, we
I'm going to read the next comment though because it
Got
makes
it.
sense. Warhammer 40k painting says, he actually counters this by saying you can have as many relics as you like on characters but never multiples in the army, so you can't have 2 Frost Furies. Only one of each relic exists.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can have, and let's turn to the page here. So,
the Wolflord on page 48 of the Space Wolves Codex.
so that says you can take items, what does it say? You can take items, plural, from melee weapons, ranged weapons, special war gear, and or relics of the Fang list. So you can take items, okay, so it says plural. Now going on to the actual relics page,
That's
which is right
here.
right there, it says only one of each of the following relics may be chosen per army. So you can still have multiples on the same guy, you just can't have more of one relic in the same army.
Yeah.
So that is how it should be
So
done.
you can basically give this guy, I think, a bolter and the bolter and sword from this like relic, and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Or even armor too. It's like
Yep.
take him out relics and be totally.
You can have Armor of Rust and Helm of Durafest on the same guy. So that is the end of the Who Would Win, or for the Who Would Win, for the Rules You Got Wrong. Shows you where mine is. I want to do some more Who Would Wins. So thank you very much for leaving your comments, and we're going to go on to the next guy.
Karinski. Railgun is AP 1 and a truck is open topped, +3 to the pen result. You're absolutely right, we did +2 because I forgot it. I thought the railgun was AP 2 at the time, so that was a mistake on my part. Daniel, TMU. The tide wall was set up incorrectly. Deployment setup is the tide wall rampart and all the shield lines must be connected to a gun ring or drone ports, and they all have to be set up within 6 inches of the shield line. Again, absolutely correct. At the time, I didn't know the rule for it, so I was trusting my opponent with that one. And also, when moving, they have to remain in the same formation that they started. Again, absolutely right, when he moved the wall away from the rampart, that was a mistake. I don't know anything about the ramparts, so I was just trusting my opponent at that one. Now that I know, I will make sure that if we ever see ramparts in the future, that won't happen. Warboss is, Purton says, Warboss is leadership 9 and bikes Dakugun shoot 3 shots. I keep thinking that a Warboss is leadership 8. I'm not sure why, but I double checked and you're absolutely right. Leadership 9 for the Warboss. And Dakuguns do shoot twice. I was thinking of the bolters, or pardon me, not the bolters, the bolt guns on bikes. So I was mixing those two up at the time. And then we have Wild Horse. Tau Pulse Rifle is strength 5 and boys are toughness 4. That would make wounding on a 3. For some reason, I was thinking Tau Pulse Rifles were strength 4, so toughness 4, strength 4, wounding on 4s. Double checked it, you're absolutely right. They are they are strength 5, so they are wounding boys on 3s. And the last one here is Ramshackle, and that was from the Evil Monk. Yeah, I keep forgetting Ramshackle. It's a small rule, but it does make a difference, and there's that 16% chance of rolling the 6 to turn a pen into a glance. That was another mistake. Gotta make sure I don't do that in the future.
So that wraps up this episode of Rules You Got Wrong. Make sure to leave your comments in the battle reports because we do look at them. We have started the Rules You Got Wrong series specifically for this, just to show that we are trying our very best to get the rules right, and we do appreciate your comments, especially when you cite your sources. If you say, at this point in the battle report, on page this of the rule book, it states this. So that really helps us. It speeds up the time for us to look up rules, and it gives us an actual time in the battle report where something happens. So those are the best comments because it makes it the easiest for us to reply to them and for it to make sense. So again, thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for the next rules you got wrong. Really, it should be stay tuned for the next battle report so that you can leave your comments and then watch the rules you got wrong so that you can see those rules errors rectified. So thanks again and happy wargaming.